If you touch me like that again, I'll forget every reason I've kept my distance. And Amy, when I stop pretending, you'll see exactly what kind of man you've been working for. Those words hit me like a physical blow. I stood frozen in Billy Cash's office, my fingers still hovering near the collar of his black shirt where I'd just straightened a wayward button. My fingertips had grazed the edge of dark ink curling up his throat, tattoos I'd always assumed were just part of his edgy CEO aesthetic. Billy's hand closed around my wrist. Not rough, not gentle either. Possessive. He pulled my hand down slowly, his thumb pressing against my racing pulse, his storm gray eyes locked on mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. This was Billy Cash, my boss for 10 months. The man who built Cash Industries from the ground up, who commanded boardrooms with quiet authority, who never raised his voice, but somehow always got exactly what he wanted. The man who said please and thank you, who remembered I took my coffee with oat milk, who'd never so much as looked at me inappropriately. Except the man staring at me now. Eyes dark, jaw tight, breathing uneven. Looked like he wanted to devour me whole. Mr. Cash, I... My voice came out shakier than I intended. The investors are waiting in conference room B. Let them wait. He stood from behind his desk, and I watched him move with that dangerous grace I'd always mistaken for confidence. Now I recognized it for what it truly was: predation. Close the door, Amy. Sir, this is inappropriate. His laugh was low, dark, almost bitter. Inappropriate was sitting through 10 months of strategy meetings watching you tuck that curl behind your ear when you're concentrating. Inappropriate was listening to you laugh with the junior analysts while I fantasized about firing every single one of them for making you smile. Inappropriate was last month's investor gala when you wore that emerald dress, and I had to leave early before I did something that would get me sued. He moved closer, each step deliberate, measured, inevitable. So yes, Amy, we're way past inappropriate. My heart hammered so hard I was certain he could hear it. This was Billy Cash, the man Forbes called the Wolf of Private Security. The CEO who turned a small bodyguard company into a multi-million-dollar empire by 32, who never lost control, who never made mistakes. Until now. I don't understand what's happening, I whispered. What's happening is, I've reached my limit. His voice dropped, rough and raw. What's happening is you walked in here this morning in that pencil skirt, smiled at me like you didn't just wreck my entire day, and something in me just snapped. His hand came up to cup my face, and I should have stepped back. Should have reminded him about HR policies and professional boundaries and the 20-page employee handbook I'd memorized. Should have done anything except lean into his palm like I'd been starving for his touch. This is insane, I breathed. You're my boss. I know. His thumb traced my cheekbone and heat flooded through me. And if you tell me to stop, I will. I'll walk away. We'll pretend this never happened. Tomorrow morning, you'll bring me my schedule, I'll thank you, and everything goes back to normal. His other hand slid into my hair, gentle but unmistakably possessive. But if you don't tell me to stop, Amy, if you admit you feel this too, then everything changes. Right here. Right now. I should have told him to stop, should have grabbed my tablet and bolted from his office straight to HR. Should have protected my job, my reputation, the carefully constructed life I'd built after clawing my way out of nothing. But I'd been lying to myself for 10 months, pretending the way my stomach flipped when he said my name was just nerves, pretending I dressed extra carefully on days I knew I'd see him because of professionalism, not because I wanted him to notice, pretending the dreams I had about him, vivid, explicit, completely inappropriate, were just stress. Looking into his eyes now, Seeing the same hunger I'd been suppressing reflected back at me with frightening intensity, I realized I was done lying. I feel it, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. I feel it, and it terrifies me because I don't know what to do about it. His smile was equal parts triumph and tenderness. You don't have to do anything except trust me. Can you do that? I don't even know who you really are. The words tumbled out. 10 months, Billy, and you've never mentioned family, friends, anything personal. You're like a locked vault wrapped in expensive suits and intimidating silence. I don't know if you're married, if you have kids, if... No wife, no kids, no commitments except to my work and my family. Something flickered behind his eyes. Calculation, decision, like he was weighing exactly how much truth to give me. You're right. There are things about me you don't know. Things about my family, my business, my past. Things that might scare you if I told you. His fingers tightened slightly in my hair. But the way I feel about you, that's real, Amy. The most real thing in my life right now. So I'm asking you to take a leap of faith. Come to dinner with me tonight. Let me show you who I really am, and then you can decide if you still want this. What if I decide I don't? Then I'll accept it. His expression softened, though his grip didn't loosen. I'll be professional. I'll never mention this again. He leaned down, his lips brushing my ear, and I felt his words in my bones. But I don't think you will. I think once you see all of me, the good, the bad, the parts I've kept hidden, you'll understand why I've been fighting this for 10 months. Why I've kept my distance even when every instinct screamed to claim you. The word claim should have sent up red flags. Instead, it sent liquid heat, pooling low in my stomach. One dinner, I heard myself say. 7 o'clock, I'll pick you up. He stepped back, but his eyes never left mine. Wear something that makes you feel powerful, Amy, because after tonight, your life will never be the same. Then, like flipping a switch, the professional mask slid back into place. His shoulders relaxed. His expression smoothed. It was like the last 5 minutes had been a fever dream. Now, about those investors downstairs, he said calmly, returning to his desk. Send them up in 10 minutes. He glanced up, and that dangerous smile curved his lips again. And Amy? Stop biting your lip like that, unless you want me to find out how it tastes. I fled. Tablet clutched to my chest, heart racing, mind spinning in circles. What had I just agreed to? Dinner with my boss, my mysterious, intense, definitely hiding something boss who just confessed to 10 months of wanting me. Who had tattoos I'd never really questioned. Who moved like violence wrapped in a designer suit. This was a terrible idea. Possibly the worst idea I'd ever had. So why was I already mentally going through my closet, planning what to wear? I should have known that nothing about Billy Cash was ever simple. I should have questioned why a security company CEO had the kind of tattoos that looked like they meant something. Why his office had bulletproof glass. Why men with earpieces followed him everywhere. I should have known that dinner with Billy Cash wasn't going to be candlelight and small talk. It was going to be the night everything I thought I knew shattered, and I discovered my handsome, controlled boss was actually the most dangerous man in the city. The black car that pulled up to my apartment building at 7 o'clock sharp wasn't Billy's usual sleek sedan. This was something else entirely. Tinted windows so dark I couldn't see inside. Armored panels I recognized from security briefings at work, and a driver who looked less like an employee and more like a soldier. Billy stepped out, and my breath caught. Gone was the tailored suit. He wore all black, fitted shirt, dark jeans, boots, and without the corporate armor, he looked younger. Dangerous. The tattoos on his throat seemed darker somehow, more prominent in the evening light. You look beautiful, he said, his eyes traveling over the black dress I'd chosen. Ready? No. Yes. He opened the door himself, and as I slid inside, I noticed something that made my pulse spike. Another man in the passenger seat, armed. Where are we going? I asked as the car pulled away from the curb. Somewhere private. Somewhere we can talk without interruption. 20 minutes later, we arrived at a building I'd only seen from street level, one of those exclusive high-rises where penthouse units sold for millions. Billy's hand settled on the small of my back as he guided me through a private elevator that required both a key card and fingerprint scan. The doors opened directly into his penthouse, and I forgot how to breathe. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the entire city glittering below us. The space was massive, all dark wood, leather, and steel. But it wasn't the luxury that made my skin prickle. It was the guards stationed at the corners, the security monitors built into one wall. The way this felt less like a home and more like a fortress. Billy, what? Amy. He turned to face me, the city lights casting shadows across his face. I need you to listen. Really listen. Because after I tell you this, everything changes. My heart hammered. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to something raw and honest. Cash Industries? It's a facade. A very expensive, very legal front for what I really do. I don't understand. His hand came up, fingers tracing the ink on his own throat. These aren't just tattoos, Amy. They're rank. They're legacy. They're a promise of violence. His eyes locked onto mine. I'm not just a CEO. I'm the head of the Cash Syndicate. My family controls half the criminal operations in this city. Security, yes, but also territory. Enforcement, deals that never see daylight. The room tilted. You're Mafia. Yes. One word, one truth that shattered everything. My enemies watch everyone close to me, he continued, his voice steady despite the storm in his eyes. Being near me paints a target on your back. I should let you walk away right now. I should have never touched you. He moved closer, his hand cupping my face. But Amy, you're the only thing I've wanted in years, the only thing that's felt real. I should run, should scream, should do anything except lean into his touch while my world collapsed around me. I need to leave, I whispered. Then go. His thumb stroked my cheek. But know this. If you stay, even for tonight, I'll protect you with everything I have. I looked into his eyes and saw the truth. I was already in too deep. And terrifyingly, I didn't want to leave. I didn't sleep that night. Billy had his driver take me home after I couldn't give him an answer. Couldn't say yes. Couldn't say no. Couldn't do anything except stand frozen in his penthouse while my entire reality rewired itself. The next morning, normalcy felt like a costume I no longer knew how to wear. I noticed the black SUV on my way to the coffee shop. Same vehicle 3 blocks later. Still there when I turned the corner toward the office. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, but before I could call Billy, it buzzed. An unknown number. A photo. Me. Walking into Billy's building last night. The timestamp clear. The angle professional. No message. Just the photo. My blood turned to ice. I made it to my desk on autopilot, my mind screaming that this was real. This was happening. Someone was watching me. I tried to focus on emails, on schedules, on anything normal. Then I went home for lunch to grab files I'd forgotten. The envelope was under my door. Plain. White. Unmarked. Inside, a single note in printed text. Tell Cash to step back. Or you're first. My knees gave out. I don't remember driving back to the office. Don't remember taking the elevator. But suddenly I was bursting through Billy's door, the note trembling in my hand. Amy. He looked up from his desk, and whatever he saw in my face made him move. Fast. He crossed the room in 3 strides, his hands on my shoulders. What happened? Someone followed me. Someone sent me this. I shoved the note at him, my voice breaking. Billy, someone knows. They're watching me. They. His expression went from concern to lethal in a heartbeat. He read the note, and I watched rage bloom across his face. Cold, controlled, terrifying. Lock the door, he said quietly. I did. When I turned back, he was on his phone, speaking in clipped, dangerous tones. I want eyes on her building, now. Pull surveillance from this morning. Find out who's moving against us. He hung up and pulled me into his private suite, the inner office I'd only been in twice. Soundproofed. Secure. This is my fault. His voice was raw, his hands still on my shoulders. I exposed you. I brought you into my world, and now they're using you to get to me. Who's they? Enemies? Rivals? People who want what I have? His jaw clenched. It doesn't matter. What matters is keeping you alive. The word alive hit me like a slap. I can't go home, can I? No. His thumb stroked my cheek, his eyes dark with something between fury and fear. You're staying with me. Starting tonight. Billy. This isn't a request, Amy. His voice dropped to something commanding. Absolute. You're not just my employee anymore. You're leverage. You're a target. And I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone touch you. I should have been terrified. Should have run. Instead, I leaned into him and whispered, How long? A week. Maybe more. His forehead pressed against mine. For your safety. For my sanity. I nodded, sealing my fate. Because in that moment I realized the most terrifying truth of all. I trusted him. The building looked legitimate. Sleek glass exterior, discreet signage reading Cash Security Solutions, employees in professional attire moving through a modern lobby. But Billy led me past the elevators to an unmarked door requiring 3 separate security checks. They need to see you, he said quietly as we descended a concrete stairwell. They need to know you're under my protection. The basement level was nothing like the polished facade above. Exposed brick, dim lighting, and men who looked less like security consultants and more like soldiers. They straightened when Billy entered, respect or fear, evident in every movement. We entered a room that resembled a war room more than a conference space. Maps lined the walls, screens displayed city grids, and seated at the head of a massive table was a man who made my breath catch. He was younger than Billy, maybe late 20s, but covered in ink, tattoos crawling up his neck, across his knuckles, disappearing under his shirt. His dark eyes assessed me with the cold precision of someone who'd seen too much violence. So this is her. His voice was smooth, almost bored. The assistant. Roman. Billy's tone held warning. This is Amy. She's with me. Is she? Roman stood, circling me slowly. I forced myself not to flinch. Because what I see is a liability. A weakness someone already tried to exploit within 24 hours. That's being handled. Is it? Roman stopped in front of me, his gaze cutting. She looks soft, Billy. Breakable. And when they come for her, not if, when, she'll either shatter or run straight to the police. Something hot flashed through me. I'd spent my entire life being underestimated, dismissed, told I wasn't strong enough. I didn't survive poverty, work 3 jobs through college, and claw my way into Cash Industries to be called soft by a tattooed criminal. You don't know anything about me, I said, meeting his stare. You don't know what I've survived, what I've fought through. So before you write me off as some breakable thing, maybe consider that I'm still standing here instead of running. Silence. Thick and dangerous. Then Roman's mouth curved into something almost resembling respect. She's got teeth. Interesting. She's got more than that, Billy said quietly, his hand settling possessively on my lower back. She stays. Roman studied us both, then nodded slowly. Your call. But if she breaks, it's on you. She won't break. Over the next hour, I watched Billy's world unfold. Roman wasn't just his cousin, he was second in command, the enforcer, the one who handled problems with ruthless efficiency. The syndicate wasn't the chaotic criminal organization I'd imagined. It was structured, hierarchical, governed by loyalty and code. Territory maps showed their reach. Financial reports documented legitimate businesses alongside coded entries I didn't want to understand. Personnel files tracked soldiers, enforcers, insiders. And Billy sat at the center of it all, commanding, respected, feared. This is what you needed to see, Billy said as we prepared to leave. This is who I am. I looked at him, my boss, my protector, a criminal, and realized something terrifying. I was beginning to understand his world, and worse, I was beginning to accept it. Not everything I do is illegal, Billy said as we stepped out of the elevator onto the rooftop. This club? Completely legitimate. I want you to see that part too. The space was stunning. Glass railings, ambient lighting, the city spread out like scattered diamonds below. Beautiful people lounged on leather sofas, expensive liquor flowed, music pulsed just loud enough to feel but not overwhelm. This was wealth. Power. The kind of empire that looked perfect on paper. It's beautiful, I admitted. Billy's hand found mine. I wanted you to see that I'm not just... The first gunshot shattered a champagne glass 3 feet from my head. Everything exploded into chaos. More shots. Rapid, deliberate, coming from the rooftop access across from us. Screams erupted. People dove for cover. Glass rained down as bullets tore through bottles behind the bar. Billy moved faster than thought. His arm locked around my waist and he threw us both to the ground, his body covering mine completely as the world became gunfire and screaming and the sickening sound of bullets hitting flesh. I've got you. He breathed against my ear, his weight pressing me into the cold concrete. I won't let anything touch you. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel Billy's heart hammering against my back and the warmth of his body shielding mine. Then I heard his voice. Different, colder, lethal. Roman, east stairwell. Marco, cover the VIP exit, take them down, now. He wasn't my boss anymore. He was a commander in a war zone. Men materialized from the shadows. Billy's men, I realized. Guns drawn, moving with military precision. The attackers retreated under suppressing fire. Someone screamed. The shooting stopped as abruptly as it started. Silence. Broken only by moaning and the sound of broken glass crunching underfoot. Billy lifted off me carefully, his eyes scanning me with frantic intensity. Are you hurt? Amy, look at me. Are you hurt? I shook my head. Mute. Trembling. Around us, the aftermath. 3 of Billy's men down, bleeding but alive. A 4th body near the bar, one of the attackers. Very still. Very dead. Roman appeared, blood on his knuckles. 2 escaped. We're tracking them. Hospital. Now. Billy pointed at his injured men, then his eyes found mine again. And get her out of here. No. The word tore out of me. Don't send me away. Amy, I'm staying with you. Something raw crossed his face. Gratitude, fear, possessiveness all at once. He pulled me against him, his lips pressing to my forehead as sirens wailed in the distance. This is my world, he said quietly. Violence, blood, death. People will keep coming for me. For you. I looked up at him. This man who'd just killed to protect me, who commanded killers, who built an empire on danger. I know, I whispered. And I'm still here. His kiss was desperate, claiming, and tasted like gunpowder and fear. I finally understood. Loving Billy Cash meant accepting that death would always be waiting in the shadows. And terrifyingly, I was willing to risk it. I couldn't sleep after the shooting, so I worked. At 3 in the morning, sitting in Billy's penthouse with my laptop and access to files I probably shouldn't have been reviewing, I started seeing patterns. Financial transfers that didn't match meeting schedules. Expense reports submitted hours before Billy confirmed travel plans. Someone knew his movements before they happened. Someone inside Cash Industries. I cross-referenced timestamps, email chains, security logs. The trail led to David Thornton, senior operations manager with the company for 6 years, trusted, respected, and apparently leaking Billy's every move to rival syndicates. My hands shook as I compiled the evidence. Bank deposits matching dates of leaked information. Encrypted messages I'd managed to trace through IT logs. Photos showing Thornton meeting with known rivals. By morning, I had everything. Billy was in a meeting when I arrived at the office. Not a business meeting, I realized as I approached the boardroom. Through the glass, I saw Roman, Marco, and 8 other men I recognized from syndicate headquarters. This was family business. I didn't hesitate. I opened the door and walked straight in. Every head turned. The conversation died. Amy. Billy stood, concern flashing across his face. This isn't. David Thornton is your leak. I dropped the file on the table in front of him. He's been selling your schedule, your locations, your security details to the Marchetti family for 8 months, including the night of the club attack. Absolute silence. Billy opened the file, his expression darkening with each page. Roman leaned over his shoulder, jaw clenching. Marco muttered something viciously in Italian. How did you find this? Roman asked, his tone more curious than accusatory. I followed the money, cross-referenced access logs with incident reports. He was sloppy, arrogant. I met Billy's eyes. He nearly got you killed. He nearly got me killed. Billy's hand slammed down on the table, making everyone jump. Where is he? In his office. I had security flag his badge. He can't leave the building. Pride flickered across Billy's face, dangerous and warm. He stood, buttoning his jacket. Bring him here. 10 minutes later, Thornton was dragged into the boardroom, terror written across his face as he saw the assembled men. He started stammering excuses, denials, but Billy cut him off with a single raised hand. Amy, Billy said quietly, his eyes never leaving Thornton. You brought this to us. You decide his punishment. The room seemed to hold its breath. This was a test, a line I could cross or refuse to cross. I thought about the club, the gunfire, the man who died, Billy's body shielding mine. Remove him from the city, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Permanently. Let the Marchettis know we found their source. Make sure no one forgets what happens to traitors. Not death, but exile, ruin, a mercy that still carried weight. Roman's eyes met mine across the table, and for the first time, he nodded with genuine respect. Billy's smile was dark, proud. You heard her. Make it happen. As they dragged Thornton out, Billy caught my hand, pulling me close. You just crossed over, he murmured. You know that, right? I did. And terrifyingly, I didn't want to go back. I met Vincent Cash 3 days after the Thornton incident. He was older than Billy, mid-50s maybe, with silver threading through dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. He carried himself with the quiet authority of someone who'd built empires and buried enemies. So you're the assistant, he said, studying me over bourbon in Billy's penthouse, the one my nephew risked everything for. Uncle Vincent founded the syndicate, Billy explained, tension evident in his shoulders. He ran it for 20 years before passing it to me. Vincent smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Billy tells me you're loyal, smart, that you've proven yourself. He swirled his drink. I'd like to believe that. The way he said it made my skin prickle. Over the next 2 days, Vincent stayed close, too close, asking questions about my past, my family, my ambitions. Then yesterday, he'd pulled me aside privately. I need to show you something, he said, handing me a folder. Something Billy's been hiding. Inside were documents detailing a federal investigation, wiretaps, surveillance photos, an indictment being prepared against the Cash Syndicate with Billy's name at the center. They're coming for him, Vincent said gravely, within the month. And anyone connected to him goes down too, unless someone cooperates, gives them what they need to make a deal. My blood ran cold. Why are you telling me this? Because you still have a chance to walk away clean. One call to the number in that folder, and the FBI will protect you. New identity. New life. You'd be safe, Amy. He left me alone with the folder and a burner phone. I stared at that phone for exactly 10 seconds before I grabbed the folder and went straight to Billy. He was in a meeting with Roman when I burst in, Vincent trailing behind me with an unreadable expression. Federal investigation, I said, throwing the folder on Billy's desk. Indictment. Your uncle just gave me an FBI contact number and told me to run. Billy's eyes snapped to Vincent. Understanding and fury warred across his face. You tested her. Of course I did. Vincent's voice was calm. She's not blood. She needed to prove where her loyalty lies. By trying to get her to betray me? By giving her every reason to save herself. Vincent turned to me, and this time his smile was genuine. She chose you instead. Didn't even hesitate from what I observed. The anger drained from Billy's expression, replaced by something possessive and proud. Vincent extended his hand to me. Welcome to the inner ring, Amy. Only blood and bonded family get access to our true operations. As of now, you're the latter. I shook his hand, realizing what this meant. No more boundaries, no more secrets. Complete integration into the Cash Syndicate. After Vincent left, Billy pulled me against him, his voice rough against my ear. You're mine, and now the family knows it. I tilted my face up to his. I was always yours. I just needed to prove it. His kiss was claiming, grateful, absolute. I'd passed the test, but more than that, I'd chosen Billy over every instinct for self-preservation. There was no going back now. The message came. Through Roman during a strategy meeting. His face went carefully blank as he read his phone, then his eyes cut to Billy with something I'd never seen before. Concern. The Marchettis want to negotiate, Roman said slowly. They're offering a full truce. Billy's expression didn't change. What's the price? Roman's silence was answer enough. Billy's hand tightened on his glass. Say it. Her. Roman's gaze flicked to me. Amy leaves. Completely. New city, new identity, no contact. They want your weakness removed from the board. In exchange, they stand down. No more attacks. No more war. The room felt like all the oxygen had been sucked out. Absolutely not, Billy said flatly. Billy. Roman leaned forward. We've lost 6 men in 3 weeks. The Marchettis have twice our firepower. If this escalates... I said no. Think about what you're saying. This war could destroy everything we've built. Everything your uncle built. For one woman? Don't. Billy's voice dropped to something lethal. Don't finish that sentence. I couldn't breathe. They were negotiating my life like a business transaction, and Billy was willing to burn his entire empire rather than let me go. But I saw what he refused to acknowledge. The weight in his eyes. The tension in his shoulders. The way his hand trembled slightly before he clenched it into a fist. He was terrified. Not of war. Of losing me. Billy. My voice cut through the charged silence. Can we talk? Alone? He led me to his private office, closing the door with barely controlled violence. "I'm not sending you away," he said before I could speak. "I don't care what it costs. I don't care if the entire city burns. You're not leaving." "What if I choose to?" He flinched like I'd struck him. "Amy, listen to me." I moved closer, framing his face with my hands. "I've watched you sacrifice everything to keep me safe. Your time, your resources, your men. But you can't sacrifice yourself. Not for me. I can, and I will." His hands covered mine, desperate. "Losing you is the only thing I cannot survive. Do you understand? I've killed men. I've built an empire on blood and violence. But losing you would destroy me in ways no bullet ever could." Tears burned my eyes. "Then hear me when I say this. I'm not going anywhere. They'll come for you. This means war. Let them come." I pressed my forehead to his. "I choose you, Billy. Not safety. Not a peaceful life in some other city. You. Even if it means war. Even if it costs everything. Amy. I'm done running. I'm done being protected like I'm fragile. I'm staying, and we're ending this together." Something broke in his expression. Relief and terror, and love so fierce it stole my breath. His kiss was devastating, claiming, grateful. When he pulled back, his eyes had gone cold, lethal, focused. He grabbed his phone, dialing Roman. "Tell the Marchettis the deal's off. Amy stays. If they want war, they'll get war." He ended the call and pulled me against him, his voice a vow against my hair. "No one will touch you again. Not while I breathe." The war lasted 4 days. 4 days of violence, strategy, bloodshed, and Billy moving like a force of nature through the chaos. Roman coordinated strikes. Vincent called in favors from syndicates in 3 states. And I stayed at Billy's side, learning the brutal efficiency of his world. When the Marchettis finally surrendered, their leadership decimated and their territory absorbed, the city fell silent. Now Billy and I stood alone in his office. Past midnight. The city glowed beneath us like scattered embers, peaceful and oblivious to the war that had just reshaped its underworld. Billy stared out at the skyline, his shoulders tight, hands shoved in his pockets. He looked exhausted, haunted, victorious, and hollowed out all at once. "It's over," he said quietly. "You're safe now." "We're safe." He turned to face me, and the expression in his eyes made my heart crack. "I need you to understand something. You can still leave. Right now. Tonight. I'll give you everything you need. Money, protection, a new identity if you want it. You can reclaim your life, Amy. The normal one. The safe one. Billy, I'm giving you an out." His voice roughened. "Because if you stay, this is your life now. The syndicate. The violence. Me. And I need to know you're choosing it with your eyes open." I studied him. This man who'd shielded me with his body, who'd gone to war for me, who was offering me freedom even though it would destroy him. I crossed the space between us slowly, deliberately. His breath caught as I stopped in front of him. I reached up, my fingers finding the dark ink curling along his throat. The same tattoos I'd touched that first night in his office when everything changed. "Amy." My name was a warning, a plea, a prayer. His hand came up to catch my wrist, but he didn't pull it away. "You know what happens if you touch me like that again." I smiled, feeling the rapid pulse beneath my fingertips, seeing the hunger and fear and desperate hope warring in his eyes. "I know," I whispered. "That's why I'm doing it." Something broke in him. Billy pulled me against him with a sound that was half groan, half relief, his mouth claiming mine with possessive desperation. His hands tangled in my hair, his body pressing mine back against the window as the city glittered below us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. You're sure? His voice was wrecked. Because after this, Amy, you're mine, completely, irrevocably, mine. I've been yours since the moment you warned me about crossing lines, I said. I just needed to prove I could survive your world first. His laugh was rough, grateful. You didn't just survive it, you conquered it. Roman respects you. Vincent trusts you. The family sees you as one of us. And you? I see you as the only thing that matters. His thumb traced my jaw. You're not my assistant anymore. You're not even just my lover. Then what am I? His eyes darkened with possession and promise. You're the woman who chose the Mafia boss over safety, who walked into danger and didn't flinch, who became part of my empire. He kissed me again, slower this time, sealing the vow. You're mine, Amy Anderson, and I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone take you from me again. I smiled against his lips, feeling the truth settle into my bones. Billy Cash's world was brutal, dangerous, unforgiving. And it was mine now too.